Hey everyone. I guess no one wants me to sleep. How you've been? Um, I actually had a nice weekend. I got 11 hours of sleep, believe it or not. The first time I've had sleep for the last 2 weeks or so. And I decided, you know what? I normally have a weekly game. We actually stream the game if you want to see it, Agents of Edgewatch, to teach people and show people what Pathfinder's all about. And the funniest thing was right before the game, and if Jason or John are in the chat, they can confirm this, is that I was telling them the plan was to have AI dungeon masters and they were going to charge $30 a month. I was actually literally saying this tonight at 8 o'clock to my normal people, the guys I played this game with, because they couldn't understand what the goal was and how expensive they're spending about 250 million ish, probably a lot more on D&D Beyond, and they're like, how's that possible? Like, where are they even putting that money? Because John worked at Blizzard for like 10 years. I worked in video game. I know I do this professionally. Like, we know where the money goes, and it seems like so much money. How is that possible? And that's why. And then I played my game, and then I looked on my phone and it exploded. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, really? Really? Now is when you decide to actually break news at midnight on the East Coast? Fine, I'll go live and I'll talk about this. So, first of all, this has been exploding all over the place. And I saw there was a whole bunch of things on Twitter and a whole bunch of things on YouTube in just the last few hours. Now, here's the thing is that any of you have been watching my coverage, none of this is new. Okay? None of this. In fact, if you want, I have a video that's something like 6 months, maybe even 7 months old, that I predict what is going to happen with Dungeons and Dragons. And No Nat Ones is on that with me and Mark Seifter. And go watch that video. I already said this. I said this months ago, and I've said this quite a bit. So I'm not even surprised because whatever. I'm saying it, but here, let's go look at some of the stuff. So here we are. So everything I'm going to go through has been public. And if you've been watching my videos, I've been saying this forever. So, host wrote, if Wizard tried to squeeze more money from you with these D&D Beyond changes, how would you feel? And it's $30 a month per player, deauthorizing the OGL 1.0A, homebrew banned at the base tiers, and stripped down gameplay for AI DMs. And reportedly, D&D Beyond costs WoTC 40,000 subs. Keep it going. And then there is this very interesting picture that was released last summer, and people thought it was a hoax. They were like, there's no way this is real. And it's all starting to come together. It's all coming together. Again, I've been saying this. I'm not trying to pound myself in the back. I've been saying this for half a year. I've been saying this all along. And now it's all coming out because it's very, very simple. They spent $146 million to buy D&D Beyond. They are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to now update D&D Beyond with 250 to 350 senior engineers, some of which I know who are working on this project, and these people were paid a lot of money, and they ain't cheap. And I've been saying it all along. It's that what are they going to do that's going to make it so amazing for you to move over to 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons? We've been saying it on our weekly live show all the time. And I'm telling you right now, I couldn't think of anything. The one thing I wasn't aware of that kind of blindsided me, I will completely admit, is the deauthorization of the OGL 1.0 because you can't. That's why I didn't think of it, because I didn't think they were that stupid that they were going to actually try and go against that. But everything about charging $30 a month, have different tiers, have pretty much homebrew, everything. I've been saying this for a long time. They're trying to control the tools. That's it. Everyone's talking about you have to pay a percentage, and it doesn't matter. All they're trying to do is control the tools. All they're trying to do is make it that you have to use D&D Beyond if you want to play, and this is right here, if you want to play your homebrew for private use, you got to use D&D Beyond. If you want to use homebrew for public use, you got to use D&D Beyond. Like, D&D Beyond is the tool that you need to use to play role-playing games. And as for the artificial AI Dungeon Master, this has been leaked by dozens and dozens of Twitters. I literally just finished my game and went to this. There's a lot more than this. But I also had, I can't give you my sources, but I had people tweeting me and sending me messages while I was playing Agents of Edgewatch on my weekly podcast stream. And they were like going crazy, sending me stuff to confirm this all. So anyhow, so yes, this is what they were trying to do. And the stripped down AI. I actually mentioned this last week. I was using a couple of existing games like Neverwinter Nights 2. And Neverwinter Nights 2 had kind of a way you can play. You can write pre-made modules, and then you can have someone DM it, or you can have the computer doing it. And I was saying that is what they were going to do. I said this last week. So none of this is news to me. And any of you who've been watching, none of this is news to you. So again, like and subscribe. I know it's late. If you have chats, super chats, you guys want answers. Okay, we already got 500 people and it's like midnight on the East Coast. Send them away. I will try to answer them as much as I can. This story is going to explode. I know a whole bunch of people that are doing more detailed stories on this that are going to come out Wednesday. I'm actually very, 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 very busy tomorrow. So I figured, all right, I'm just going to go live and just talk about this right now. The whole point about this, and I've been saying this publicly on Twitter, remember I said, if any of you watch, they're not backing down. I said this publicly, they will never back down. They simply won't back down. They spent way too much money on this, and they currently said live in their last statement that they were going to get rid of the tiers, they were going to get rid of payments, they got rid of everything except the deauthorization of OGL 1.0A, because that's all they care about. That's it. They're just trying to control the market, and they're trying to control the tools. That is all they're trying to do. And as I said it last week, so again, people have been watching me know this, they were going to try to create AI Dungeon Masters, because the number one problem with Dungeons and Dragons is you need a DM to run the game. And if the DM is not available, then suddenly 4 or 5 people can't run the game. And I said this last week, is that they're going to make it like an MMO where that you can come on, and then if you don't have anyone, you can have them gather you around like World of Warcraft, put together a group for you, and then go into a dungeon. And they're going to have pre-made dungeons. They're going to have pre-made adventures. Some of them might only be a half an hour long. They're turning into a video game. Okay, they're turning into a video game. And that is the biggest problem. They're turning Dungeons and Dragons into what it's not. It is not a video game. They're using the name, they're using the brand recognition, and they're using everyone's concepts and ideas to turn it into a full video game. And the only way they can do this is by deauthorizing the OGL 1.0 1.0A, because if they do that, then there's forcing everyone over. They literally are trying to make it that they're the only game in town. Ollie wrote, they'll only back down if the executive team are all fired because the share price collapses due to lost D&D Beyond subs, and even then, maybe not. So here's the thing. 40,000 subs sounds pretty good. And trust me, it is. You have to, everyone has to cancel. Everyone. And I mean everyone. The numbers are supposed to be in the millions. Now, I've never heard confirmation of this. I've heard this indirectly from people inside WoTC that they're supposedly, well, their subscriber list is, if it's 5 million or 10 million, but their subscriber list for D&D Beyond is supposed to be somewhere between 5 and 10 million. I'm sorry, it's midnight here and this just happened, but I don't know how many of those are subscribers, and that will be the interesting. If this was a 1% loss, then they can take this. If this was well, actually even 1's pretty bad, but if this was like a 0.1% loss, they'll be angry, but so what? But if this is a 5% loss in subscribers or something like that, yeah, 13 million, it's a lot. There's a lot of accounts on D&D Beyond, and that includes most people who don't pay. And most people who I created an account. I have an account on D&D Beyond that I don't pay, so I count, and I imagine a lot of other people do. So yes, they want to make it $30 a month. Again, they're spending $250, $300+ million on this D&D Beyond. They need this to succeed, and the only way they can even buy D&D Beyond was to make 6th edition, because D&D Beyond fandom had a license for 5th edition forever. So they made 6th edition to buy D&D Beyond and then turn it into this. That's it. That's literally the only story. And as I said, I've been talking about this for months, so none of this is even news to me. When it came out, I was like, yep, if anyone's been watching us, yep. This is all like, it's just another, yep, this is what I've been saying since day one. Anyhow, if anyone has any questions, if anyone has any questions, let me know. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people will have a lot of fun to say, oh, my AI DM canceled the game tonight because he got a virus. You know, I've been hearing them all. I've been hearing all the jokes, but yeah, I mean, if you do $30 a month and say they get 1 million people, that's $30 million a month. Now, keep in mind, it's going to take a fair number of people to keep this up and running and maintained. And when I used to work with Blizzard, it's not a small number. Like the number of people, correct. So actually, Michael, let me just get back to that. I'll answer your question, Michael. Is that it takes a fair amount of people to run D&D Beyond. So there's going to be a lot of costs involved. It's going to cost millions of dollars to run it on a monthly basis. But if they're able to charge $30, oh boy. But yeah, supposedly this was leaked. I actually don't remember when this original one came out. People said this was considered a hoax. And I have, through anonymous source, who said this was accurate, this image, and that it is not a hoax. Now, I only got one source to confirm this, so I am going to put that out there. I usually try to get 2 sources on everything, but I indirectly have other sources. I have one direct source and several indirect sources, so I'm just putting that out there, but I'm not going to be able to probably talk about this for a couple days, so I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of this. Again, the original poster said it was fake. Yeah, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I will put it this way. This, I know for a fact, is real. And this is something that we've been saying for months. And this is also something that is going to be coming out quite a bit. Anyhow, let's see. Alan says, already wiped my D&D Beyond sub and started getting PF2E material, considering that the core book has the 10A item in the back. What are the risks of us jumping to Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Pathfinder 2nd Edition doesn't need to use the OGL 1.0A. In fact, they were using it, and they said it on their orc thing. They were using it as a courtesy, and there's actually no reason. Pathfinder 2nd Edition is written on its own rules and doesn't use anything from SRD, so they don't need it. And they're just going to remove it. So there you go. There's literally, they'll say, oh, you deauthorize it? Oh, okay. We don't use it. And we're going to take it out of all our books. So it doesn't matter. And everything we do is free. And you can get everything they have online. So they already put everything out there. So you can get all the rules for Pathfinder 2nd Edition on Archives and Nethys. Everything is free. Everything. So good luck trying to get that out. It doesn't matter. They have no leg to stand on. They're not going to win. Paizo has huge attorneys, extremely deep pockets, and they're going to fight this to the death. So I have no worry about Paizo whatsoever. So let's see. Well, keep in mind the $30 a month, that was the high tier. They're going to have multiple tiers. So, and so that was just one tier. That was the $30 a month. That's yeah, that's exorbitant. But you know what they're going to say is that you get everything. Okay, you get everything. So if you say, well, for $30 a month, you can get every single thing that's ever been created ever for D&D, I'd say okay. So what's my opinion on how balanced Pathfinder Second Edition for martial classes versus caster? It is the most balanced version of any role-playing game I've ever seen, period. End of discussion. Mark Seifter, who's my director of game design, wrote or co-wrote the Pathfinder Second Edition rules. So we are a little biased, but up and there's Mark right now. So yeah, it is incredibly well balanced. I've played probably 500 games of Pathfinder Second Edition, and I've seen no issues up to level 14. And everyone gets to do something. You know, I can't go into the math, but the math is more or less the same for everyone. So yeah, they get to do lots of cool spells, but the melee people get to do lots of cool attacks, and in the end, all the damage kind of evens out. So, and also it takes a lot more time and effort for spellcasters. They only really get one spell off a round, while my friend who's playing a monk, if he has haste, he can do 5 attacks in a round. So it's like one spell versus 4 to 5 attacks if you're a monk. And, you know, that's pretty balanced. In fact, the monks usually do better. He hits, and he can do 30 points of damage per hit, and he hits 4 or 5 times, which he's done. He could do 150 damage easily in one round. So that's the higher levels. So once again, if you have any questions, I thought I'd do an emergency session, but to be honest, none of this is news to us. Mark, you've been on you're on here right now. Have we been saying this all along, that this is their plan and this is what they were going to do? In all the past shows you've been on with me for months now, none of this is news. How do you think Pathfinder Nexus will evolve with all these changes? Will Paizo eventually allow digital purchase to move between them as an example? Yeah, Paizo already allows that. In fact, if you purchase a PDF and then want to purchase the Foundry module, it connects to the Paizo website and you can get the module at a discount. They also do that with Roll20. So they've been doing this for years. So them having their own system, they will probably do things where you either get... Alan wrote, thank you. Yes, thank you, Alan. I don't know what that currency is, by the way. It's kind of cool. It's like a P with slashes, if you tell me what that is. So yeah, they're definitely gonna have the systems talk to each other. So Jimmy Hendricks said, "What is the best online custom creative sheet for D&D that isn't D&D Beyond?" I do not know. I actually do not use D&D Online or D&D subscribers. So they're by the way, your math is off. Someone wrote there's 5 million accounts, and if 40,000 people deleted their accounts, it's a 16% decrease in subscribers. That's not wrong. I'm sorry, that's not right. That is incorrect. Your math is off a little. But anyhow, I don't know if other people in the chat have better ones. I don't know. I pretty much only play Pathfinder Second Edition, and the few times I do play 5e, I was always doing it by hand, and I tried to use D&D Beyond. I didn't really like it, and I had a subscription, but I canceled it, and I've just been using, pen and paper. So sorry, I'm not a great answer on that. So yeah, Hasbro's going to wait this out. They're going to wait and hope that everyone forgets this, because they've invested too much time, too much effort, and they're going forward. This is coming out. This is coming out next year. Okay, it's supposed to be launched 2024. This is coming out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't single matter if... Oh, Mark is asking me to check something. Okay, the internal document was fake. I actually have some people said it was maybe not fake, but I will say that everything else that's been saying, that all these things that have been coming out supposedly are real, and a lot of people have been saying that these numbers have been correct. Again, it's late, but none of this, I know it doesn't matter. None of this is, it's, oh wait, I got a question. Evan Wetmore, isn't WoTC already done since OGL 1.0 can't be deauthorized? Doesn't mean they're not going to try, just because they're going to try. It's simple as that. Rage the Promise Red. Happy thing. Order Dragon's book for other kin friend he loves. He will now only play dragons in my Pathfinder Second Edition game. Thanks. So anyhow, the whole point is, even if it's not $30 a month, let's just say it's only, let's say it's $10 a month or $15 a month. The point is that they're trying very hard to control the tools and make it there are only people around. So anyhow, the point is that this is something that they've been planning for years. This isn't something that they just decided on a whim to deauthorize the OGL 1.01. This is something that they decided to make a new version, and they decided to buy D&D Beyond from Fandom for $146 million and then hire 250 to 350 very high-end developers. I know people on these teams. They just started the work about, I believe it was, I can find the exact date, but it was around, it might have been August, September. It was right around then that they started to get their marching orders and they actually started to work on this. And again, they're doing, quote, very exciting stuff from people I know who are on these development teams. And so, yeah. Anyhow, again, I don't know how many actually live accounts are, by the way. So, Lord God wrote percent of paying subs that are left of total paying subs. I have no idea. I have no idea. Oh, it's Philippines money. Unfortunately, none of us have the exact numbers, and they will never release those numbers. So, but we need to cancel more subs. I mean, basically, everyone has to cancel their subs. And the other thing that's interesting with the movie is the movie is based upon, they have a formula where it's basically whatever it does the first week will determine, they can see and determine with frightening accuracy how much money a movie makes in the first weekend is how much they can figure out how much it's going to make in total. So I know it's going to be hard to not see the D&D movie. I know for a fact that they are banking to make their money on this. But if you don't see it, you'll do, that will help tank the movie and that will get their attention. More importantly, Hasbro has to convince studios to put their neck out and make these movies. Hasbro can't make these movies on their own. So it's very, very that's very, very important so that this movie does well, especially in the first weekend. I'm going to tell you right now, the best case scenario is you don't see the movie. If you can't resist it and you want to see the movie, fine. Don't see it opening weekend, okay? You have to see it. See it's the second or third weekend. By the way, the later you see it, the more money it actually makes the movie theater. The way it works is that the first week, the movie theater only gets something like, it used to be 20%. It might even go down to 10%. Actually, since the pandemic, maybe it's changed again. But the way it works is that the movie theater only gets something like 20% of the money, and the distributor gets 80% of the money, and that's why they try to make all their money on popcorn and such. But then every week it decreases. So like the second week, the split might be 70-30, and then the next week it's 60-40, and so forth. That's why Titanic was in the theaters for so long, because by the time it got to like the 20th week, the theaters were making like 90% of the money, and the distributor, the studio was making like 10% of the money, and they kept it in because although their theater wasn't full, they were getting just enough people to come and see Titanic that they would make more money. So there we go. And I got some quick. So people say TechCrunch says around 10 million users, but that's the free tiers. So, right. And let's see. Warren says, does Pathfinder have tools for player character assist to output to Foundry, VTT, Roll20? There are so many tools out there. Here's the thing. Anyone could write tools for Pathfinder and no one cares. As in Paizo doesn't care. There were a lot of tools to allow you to import into other VTTs. To be honest, it's so easy to build your character in Path Builder second edition and then import it into something else, that I wouldn't be surprised. So, let's see. By the way, I'm having some updates here. So the image was fake, but the numbers are legit from what I'm getting. So some of that, so that image, by the way, that I showed before. So it turns out I'm getting a little conflicting info that is fake, but the numbers were real. So I think they were trying to get it out there with trying to do it because they got numbers. But the point is, I've been getting these numbers for a while, and I've been saying it for months now. So nothing's really changed. Let's see. Looks like we can be looking at two camps of D&D, virtual and TTRPG. Yeah, new people. Yeah, that's the problem. Is that Hasbro, they don't care. Like, they just hope this blows over. They're gonna hope that we all forget, and quite frankly, they hope that the casual users, they don't care. They just subscribe and they become the main thing. Now here's the main issue. First of all, this story has picked up national news. It's been everywhere. I saw it on the street. I saw it in MSNBC. I've seen it all over the place. It's broken out. I saw it. I saw some links from German TV. It's been everywhere, man. Like, this story is like the worst case scenario. So they are not gonna back down. They have invested too much and they are all in. They're all in. This is going to be going on this year. It's going to go on next year. This is coming out. I promise you. They're coming out with this thing one way or another. So what does that mean? I don't know if it's going to go to court. It might, but Hasbro will probably lose from everyone I've been saying. And if they try to deauthorize the OGL 1.0A, they might try something else. Okay. The downside of all of this is that they thought that they can just bully everyone into submission and have them just sign this, and that they can then move forward with their plans. We have not, and obviously everyone's taken a stand. That is dangerous, because that just means that they're going to now really look very carefully on how they can sneakily get out D&D online. If I was them, and I hate to almost give this their idea, I would probably have D&D Beyond come out and they give out free subs, and you can get like a premium sub for like a month or maybe even 2 months just to get people to sign up. And obviously you have to give your credit card and all that, and they might give out some like real sweetheart deals to try to soften the blow, hoping that they might get people back when 6th edition comes out, and they're going to do really, really hard push. So the main thing is that all the influencers, they're switching from D&D to Pathfinder and other systems. That is really where the battle is right now. The battle is with the influencers and people who do YouTube shows, because, and this is all over TikTok, like this is everywhere, and people are aware of this. And if a year or two goes by, first of all, no one is going to look at videos that are a year or two old, like, you know, next year and the year after. They're going to look for the latest videos. And if no one is covering Dungeons and Dragons, that will probably set off alarm bells. And if people all over YouTube are covering other things, then hey, why would I play D&D? Look, there's no one talking about it, so why would I want to play it? And that is probably our best bet. The problem is, they're probably going to still people who cover D&D. People are still going to cover Dungeons and Dragons. New people are going to come out. There'll be a vacuum in the market, and then they'll come up. Let's see. A lot of people don't want to pay. Oh, Katina, I can still watch the D&D cartoon, right? Yes, the D&D cartoon is totally safe. You guys can watch that all you want. Supposedly, let's see what else. Matt Mercer. So yeah, it looks like people are just throwing in their 2 cents, saying hi to everyone, and yeah, $30. You know what? Even if it's $20 a month, okay? I mean, you have things like Foundry. Foundry is $50 and you keep it forever. I mean, yeah, the modules are extra. Um, that's it. I have been talking to people in the industry, and I can't say it, but by the way, the exact quote I saw was that D&D sales fell off a cliff. So that is something I heard through the industry, that the Dungeons and Dragons sales, both online and books, have just tanked. Now again, oh, so Nord Game says someone signed. Do you know anything? Sickle 5. I actually said this on the stream the other day. The rumor is one or maybe two people signed it, but it's probably null and void now because they didn't go ahead with their plans. And if OGL, I didn't see the actual contracts. I know people who had them, but I didn't see them. But they're probably still okay because it looks like the Hasbro didn't go along with their plans. I don't know. I'd have to see what the contract says. But the rumor was supposedly one or maybe two people. I won't say where they were, but I'm going to be very careful what I say about that. So anyhow, yeah, I'm getting a lot of text from people. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone because suddenly I'm getting texts and messages everywhere. And people are basically backing up things that I'm saying. There's a lot of information that's coming out like right now, and the exact numbers might change. I'll be totally honest from you. There might be slightly different numbers. Again, maybe it's $20 a month, but none of this was anything new to me. And by the way, yeah, people said they signed the draft. It was not a draft, okay? That was a lie. They publicly called it a draft. You know what? They can publicly say anything they want. And here's the thing when you deal with lawyers is that people were saying, well, it says in the contract that they could use my content and they could perhaps, do all these terrible things, but of course they never would. That's not how it works, okay? If you're going to sign a contract, your lawyers, if they're doing a good job, will specifically say, if this happens to you, because it says it can, they says here that they can basically, within 30 days, terminate your deal and steal all your content. Are you cool with that? And if you say, well, they never would, that's the wrong answer. The right answer is, well, they probably will. And if they do, what happens? And more importantly, what happens if Hasbro sold WoTC? Let's say you signed all these terrible contracts and they sell WoTC to someone else. And then WoTC says, no, we're never going to enforce that. We promise you we're never going to enforce it. And then they sell them, and then the new owner's like, yeah, we're totally enforcing all that. That's the problem, is that you just never know, okay? The 11th hour gave 1999. Says, I pulled my whole group into Pathfinder 2nd Edition back in October. What great timing. Foundry campaign, all custom maps, automation, shops, everything. Players, all D&D players. It's the best thing we've ever played, ever. Yeah, seriously, if you look at Foundry, it is gorgeous. Foundry is absolutely gorgeous. Personally, I play in both Foundry and I play in Roll20. I only like Roll20 because I have a ton of scripts and I make it very easy. People just press a button and it does everything you need. It does attacks, it does saving throws, it does skills, every single thing. So it's all automated. So that's what I use. So anyhow, I would strongly recommend, if you guys are sick and tired of being lied to, if you're sick and tired of being used as a cog in a wheel and just as a way for Hasbro to monetize and get as much money as possible. Foundry is not expensive. Foundry is $50. That's it. Forever. You spend $50 and you never have to spend another dime. You don't even have to spend $50, by the way. Okay? That's it. Okay? There's no monthly expenses. You buy it and you have it forever. Yes, it's a $50 one-time thing. I don't know how anyone can say that's expensive. Let's see. Nicholas Starro, union rep labor law. Whoa. He said, one thing, if many of the 40Ks are DMs, then that itself can tank the game. Snowball effect, casual users in the DM. Yes, actually, that's what I've been saying is that it is, if the 40,000 people, and it's very, very, sorry, there's so many things going on and it's like midnight. I'm very tired. If the core people are people who have played the game for 2, 3, or 4 years, those are the worst people to lose. Okay, those are the people they absolutely hate to lose. And again, I keep saying it, if they lose the influencers, they lose the YouTube people, they lose people who have had subs and are core users that are spending $100 a month, sorry, a year on D&D equipment and modules and items. Then yeah, you're in a lot of trouble because you are losing the core of your game. Now, can they make that up with casuals? Maybe, but that's why they're coming out with AI dungeon masters. And again, we're saying they're AI DMs. I don't think they're going to be AI DMs like you think they are. I think they will be, but I think in the beginning they're going to be pre-written modules, and they're going to be adventures, and they're going to be kind of like an MMO. I mean, they're literally just going to be an MMO. I imagine in a few years, when you look at it, it's going to be a 3D MMO that uses Dungeons and Dragons name and concepts, and I'll have all the things like saves and everything else, but in the end, you're playing a video game. And that's it. Cannibal got married last May in a D&D wedding. I'm sad. Yeah, I'm wondering about all those poor people who have like D&D tattoos. I love tattoos. I think tattoos are awesome. Most of my friends have tattoos, and people who know me like I like tattoos. I never got one because I was always scared to death that would happen. That like one day something you love, something bad would happen, and then you'd always be reminded on it for a tattoo. And it's funny. It's like I would think that D&D would be the only thing that maybe we would never have trouble with, and there you go. Let's see. They pulled a Games Workshop and lost 40,000 subs. Poetic. Antonio Gabriel Motes. Yeah, those 40,000 subs I've been hearing for a couple of days now, by the way. And Evan Wetmore said, good night. Thank you for the info. I'm not buying any more from WoTC. Yeah, it's really simple as that. Just to buy WoTC stuff. It's simply as simple as that. Do not. It's that. And yeah, theater of the mind of the AI. Look, they're trying to just turn this into a video game. That's it. That's all it comes down to. They're trying to control the tools. They're trying to turn this into a video game. They're trying to make D&D what it's not. They're using D&D as a brand. They're turning it into and it's no coincidence that all the monsters in the D&D movie, more or less, I don't think the owlbear is protected, but Displacer Beast protected. Okay, Gelatinous Cube's not, but they're using a lot of their protected IP in the movie. Okay, none of that is a coincidence. As simple as that. Let's see. Yeah, everyone, if you haven't ended your D&D Beyond subscription, end it. Okay. Oh, by the way, I don't know if this is true, but I saw some people, and I believe it because I've seen this happen before, is that people canceled their D&D Beyond subscriptions and they were still charged. Okay. Mimic is not protected. That is the oldest trick in the book, is that they forget to not charge you, and they might do it for a month. They can't keep doing it, but you might accidentally get charged. Okay? They can do that. By the way, them removing, and there was a lot of proof of this online, is that the website going down because there were so many people canceling their subscriptions, that is fine. Oh, the owlbear is protected. Okay, so are you sure? Are you sure owlbear is protected? Because there's an owlbear in Pathfinder, and Pathfinder goes through a lot of pains to make sure that they're not using the same the same wording, just FYI. So someone asks, Quicksilver, any info or thoughts on whether 6C will be digital only or whether they make it so many updates that pen and paper is impractical? Yes. I've been saying this all along. They're going to make it so that this is all digital as much as possible. They're going to make it that the books, okay, you know how hard it is to make a book? They're making, if they make a $50 book, Hasbro might be making, if they're lucky, maybe they make, if they're going through retailers, maybe they make $15 on that book. Okay. A $50 book, they might make 15 bucks on at most, if they're lucky. They can make a $50 digital book and sell it and make $50. Okay. So, and it goes worldwide. They don't have to worry about distribution. They don't have to worry about printing it. They don't have to worry about languages. I mean, I don't need to get into it, but their whole idea will be to definitely go online, make an online ecosystem, make it so that everything is online, and then books are like collector's items, that books are an afterthought. And it's that simple. I mean, if I was doing it, that's what I would do. And again, I've been saying this for months, so none of this is new to us. Anyone who's been following this channel, do like and subscribe. All of you know this. Looks like they lost Ginny D, huge D&D proponent. Ginny D, by the way, who I advertised on for years when no one knew who she was. And if you buy the Dungeons and Dragons, I am tired. The Battles of Ancestries Dragons book where you can play a dragon. What does it say there? Guest designer Ginny D. Ginny D wrote for me. She created the book. Actually, she didn't write it. She designed the dragon, and Mark Seifter wrote the dragon, but she helped us. And we have live videos. I'm going to actually make clips of those and put those up. If you go to our channel, you can watch me and Mark and Ginny D designing her dragon together. We have a before and after video, so you could check that out. By the way, some people are saying Foundry. You don't need to host Foundry. You can run it off your computer. I do it all the time. So you run Foundry and then everyone joins your sessions. So there you go. Let's see. I got a whole bunch of other super chats. I'm just going. Let's see. 323 Starlight, quoting from D&D Shorts from another video, the VTT is going to be separate from D&D Beyond, and they're going to try funneling users from D&D Beyond before cutting it loose. Yeah, I mean, D&D Beyond and the VTT, it's... I have a feeling they're going to tie it all together, okay? There could be legal reasons that they keep it separate, but from what I know, they're going to keep it all together because that is the whole point. That's how you would play the VTT and Dungeons & Dragons. So I'd like to see the information that comes out in 2 days. I literally just took the weekend off because I didn't want to see any of this stuff because it's been like driving even me a little crazy at this point. So I have to catch up on everything. As far as I know, it's all supposed to be connected. It might be separate. Well, I'll put it this way. It's definitely separate technologically because D&D Beyond is an online database repository while the virtual tabletop is going to be a 3D Unreal Engine. So yes, they will be separate and they'll have different code bases and they'll have nothing to do with one another, but they're definitely going to have to talk to each other and they're definitely going to have like APIs and methods to talk to each other. So yeah, I imagine they're separate. And yeah, sure, I can imagine them being so insidious that you have a D&D Beyond subscription and then you have a Foundry. You have a D&D VTT subscription. So you have to pay $50 a month. I wouldn't be even surprised. Ike 13D says they have to specifically address the problems the people have in the contract. If they don't address the contract, then everything they say is just lip service. Yeah, I said that publicly. I said this in my tweets that they don't care. They totally do not care. They're just gonna keep going at this, and they just don't care. they are not gonna back down, and they're gonna try. Need more Battlezoo content in Fantasy Grounds. You know what? We do. The way Fantasy Grounds works is kind of strange. I know why they do it. So the way is that anyone can make stuff for Fantasy Grounds, and then you make a piece. Like if I make something for Fantasy Grounds, whenever it sells, Fantasy Ground gets a piece of the pie, and then the author gets a piece. So it makes sense. The thing is, I need to find authors to make stuff for Fantasy Grounds. And I had an author who made one module for us, and then that was it. And then I couldn't find anyone else. So if you're an author or if you want to do stuff for us for Fantasy Grounds, please get in touch with me. I'd be happy to talk to you and have that made. Right now, I have a team for Foundry and a team for Roll20, but I do not have a team for Fantasy Grounds right now. So that's the only reason. Ethos Plays wrote, not sure if you already do this, but I'd love to watch your videos on how you go about creating a book. Oof, creating a book is something I wanted to do. Yeah, that would be something. I don't know if I'll do that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I might do a video. That's not a bad idea. I can explain how it's done, but it's insanely hard. Switchblade says, if Hasbro is doing this, then we need to boycott Hasbro as a whole. Boycotting WoTC isn't enough. That's true. But the problem is, like, what are you boycotting with Hasbro? Like, most of their products are Magic the Gathering and D&D. That's it. I mean, I don't think a lot of you are buying some of the dolls, and I don't even know what Hasbro makes anymore, to be honest. I bought a Hasbro board game since I was a kid, and I don't buy anything else that Hasbro puts out, so I don't even know. Chris Moore wrote, VTT locked behind paywall without VOs, script encounters, dungeon skins, mini skins, and item packs, beast packs, magic item packs are all transactions. Yes, I know. We've been saying this for months. I've been saying it for months that it's all going to be microtransactions to death. They already do this in D&D Beyond, that they will put out a $60, because the books are going up to $60 because they need to. Okay, I'm actually not going to defend that. Sorry, I am going to defend that. $60 is quite reasonable for the amount you get for one book. I'll say that right now. They'll go up to $60. But let's just say you're writing an encounter and you need a specific monster from the bestiary, and you don't want to buy the whole monster manual because it's $60. But if you need that beholder, you can buy that beholder for $2.99, and you'll get all the art and you'll get all the lore, and you can put it into your game right away. Well, I'll buy the beholder for $2.99. Now, strangely, and I mentioned this in our game tonight, I said that exact example, and my players were like, well, that's not so bad, because this way you buy what you need. And they're not wrong that that is not a bad idea. The problem is that it again goes against the whole concept of what Dungeons and Dragons and what TTRPGs are about. Is that you buy books and that you get everything, and then do you use those books to build encounters using monsters maybe you weren't thinking of using, and to sort of stretch your imagination. So if you're only buying what you need, and by the way, it's going to cost a lot more, because if the book is like $60 and there's 200 monsters in there and each monster costs $2 or $3, well, suddenly if you're buying each monster individually, you're going to end up spending like $120 for the book instead of 60. So that gets you either way. So yeah, it might seem like a good deal, but if you're only buying a couple of monsters, it might work out. But why not just buy the book? But they want to get you in every way possible. They want to get you if you're going to spend $2, or they're going to get you if you're going to spend $60. All right, now the questions are coming fast and furious. All right, hold on, I got to scroll up, everyone. Okay, we went too far. Yep, you gotta boycott Hasbro. Here we go. Mr. Smith's government class. I like your little star. It reminds me of the Hamilton star, even though it doesn't look exactly the same. I have my Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner's Box, Core Book, and Monster Manual. It's actually called the Bestiary, on the way. New questions. I need some Pathfinder 2nd Edition fantasy books. Where do I need to start with the Pathfinder fantasy books? I'm not sure what you mean by fantasy books. There used to be a book line of novels that was canceled a couple years ago, but you still can get them. They're all over the place. They're very good. I used to read them all the time. I'm not exactly sure, Mark, if you're still in chat, I don't know if you're still in chat. If you want to help out with this question, when you need 2E fantasy books, Mr. Smith, if you want to give me an update, I'm not sure what you meant by fantasy books. I'll be happy to answer your question, but I need a little more info from you. Let me go up. Sorry, I have to mod this too. Oh, stop watching Power Rangers and Transformers. Well, I don't watch those anymore. Call sign Alcarad. Has anyone put out a list of websites which are comparable to D&D Beyond for Pathfinder 2E? I DM and use D&D Beyond for our in-person game for my custom campaign. There are so many websites, but the best one is Archive of Nethys. I will post it in the Archive of Nethys has every single rule and everything you'll ever need for free. And yes, everything is free except the lore. All game mechanics are free from every single book that is published. They are partners with Paizo, so everything you ever need is there. So as for a one-to-one comparison, that's a good idea. I'll get the word out. Let me make a note. I'm going to actually get the word out to the community and see if anyone can do that. It's like, can you make a one-to-one? I'll get out the word to the community, see if people can do that. So that will help move people over. And if anyone from Paizo is watching this, that might not be a bad idea for you to do that too. And let's see. Averino wrote, you mentioned writers. What about artists? I'm not sure what you meant by mentioned. I forgot what you're talking about. I'm not sure what your question is, Averino. If you answer again, I'll try to help out. Gypsy 2004 wrote, WoTC, also 404, the page list of magic trading cards. And yeah, so, back to what I was saying is that if they delist the ability for you to unsubscribe from Dungeons and Dragons online or beyond, sorry, I'm tired. That's illegal. That's beyond illegal, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was a class action suit to look into it. Late to the party. What's the proof again? You're looking at it. There's about 1 million websites that have been going around and Twitter, and this is stuff I've been saying for months, and this is actually going to be there's a lot of stories that are going to come out on Wednesday going through the whole story of this. I've been pretty much stating this for about 6 to 7 months that this has been going to be happening, and there is multiple sources and secondary sources and tertiary sources that have been confirming that this was their plan all along and that they were actually going to be doing this. And it really isn't so much that that they've been proving that they've been doing this, is that that's just been confirmed through multiple sources that they've been doing this on Twitter tonight and through other people I've been talking to left and right. So Gypsy 2002, when the 1K anniversary box controversial hit, yeah, that's when they decided, as someone who has the Power 9 and has Alpha and Beta, when they said that they were going to reprint everything as proxies, that I knew was when it was the beginning of the end, because I'm like, great, good job. Good job. Totally destroying your market. Walter Starr wrote, hit track can be used to mirror a localized version of the Archives of Nethys. Yes. There's Archive of Nethys has been pretty stable. I haven't really seen it going down. The other one I also use is Pathfinder 2 Easy. I actually kind of prefer Pathfinder 2 Easy just because it's very streamlined. Archives of Nethys is actually so big, it's sometimes a little tough to use. So that was the only question. So about that. So yeah, the thing is, like, Adventure Path lore. So lore isn't in Archives of Nethys. The Adventure Paths are not in Archives of Nethys. But if there's a new monster from an adventure path, that's in Archives of Nethys. If there's new magic items, those are in Archives of Nethys. If there's new game mechanics, that's in it. So they have everything, and it's all free. Simple as that. Let's see. Eric Wahlberg says, I don't care how many engineers they throw at it, the AI DM will be at best be bland, far from replacement for a human DM. Yeah, you guys keep thinking, and I'm not trying to be snotty here, but it's not going to be an adventure like you're playing. Maybe it will be in time. I believe it's going to be a video game, and your AI DM is nothing more than, okay, the closest thing I can think of, if anyone played Tina's Wonderland that came out last year, where it would pretend to sort of be a DM while you're playing it, but really was nothing but scripted events. I believe that's what it's going to be. Now, I think eventually, I don't think they'll make it by 2024, but I think pretty soon thereafter, they are going to make it sort of reactive. And they're going to try to make it so that you could come out with dynamic homebrew content and that it actually would be able to run through those modules. And that, if they do that, see, that is the killer app. In the old days, we used to call this thing called the killer app. And if you come out with the killer app, it means that no matter what you do, people will still want to use it. Apple was the king of the killer app. The iPhone was a killer app. When they came out with the iPhone, everyone wanted an iPhone or an iPhone clone because it was so freaking good. So if they can come out with a truly useful AI DM that you can take a module and just feed it into the game and they can figure out how to run it for you, that is a game changer. And I will say, the big issue right now is that we have a inflection point where everyone is leaving Dungeons and Dragons and going on to other things, whether it's Pathfinder or Mothership, or I'm looking at the Aliens RPG I have right in front of me. They're going to other games, and now we're splitting off. And you know what? If they're going to spend all this money and they're going to make a 3D VTT and they're going to make it pretty cool and they eventually get an AI, I'll have to say that's going to be hard for anyone to not want to at least try out and use. But if they're losing the community and they're losing all their players and they're making it so that nobody cool is playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore, especially the influencer, especially the community, especially the TikTokers and the YouTubers, well, it might it's going to at least make their job harder, and it's going to put them 5 to 10 years behind where they want to be. Okay, that's the key, is that, say they're here and everyone cancels their subscriptions, bring them down to here, they're going to keep going, and it might take them another 4 or 5 years to get back to where they want it to be. And at that point, who knows what other games could do? A lot can happen in a couple of years. But the problem is they were here and they expected to go up here. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're basically they're coming from, they're on their back heel and they're frantic right now. Mr. Smith's government class, fantasy novel books like Dritz 3, or Elmeister, but those two guys, obviously. As I said, so here's the thing. If you go to Amazon, there were a ton of Pathfinder books, and they were good. And I don't know if they were consistently, they kept changing. What would be cool is that they used people in modules in their novels, and their novels were fun, but the line ended a couple of years ago. So as of now, there are people, they have what's called the iconics. So every class in Pathfinder has an iconic. So Valvaros, he's the fighter, and you have different people who are the epitome of that class, and that those are the famous people in each class. And if you go to the Paizo website, I believe you can see all of them. And if you go to, like, to the wikis, you can see it. My favorite one is I believe it's the anti-paladin who's evil, and his name is Steven. That's right. So he's my favorite. That's unofficial, by the way, and it was named unofficially after Stephen Radney McFarlane, who used to work at Paizo. And the old Paizo business cards, I actually have them here. Let's see. You would put an iconic on their business card, so everyone would get to choose their iconic, and that each person, I don't have it, but I will show you what I do have, okay? Just to show you connections I have. See this? See, those are all WoTC business cards. So yeah, just letting you know. Anyhow, I do have them somewhere. I don't have them here, but I do. They used to have in their old business cards that they would have you get to choose the iconic that you wanted, and that I remember Steven would have the anti-paladin on. Let's see if I can find it. It was pretty fun. So anyhow, back to your original question. No, I can't find it. Back to your original question is that they do, and if you read the books, but the books were canceled. There's a lot of comics though, and the comics have it, but there's no Dritz and there's no Elminster yet. So there's a lot of little people, the iconics, but there's not like one main person, by the way. So there's no Dritz, which is a shame because I actually love Dritz, by the way. I've actually read every single Dritz book like ever. I'm actually rereading them right now. I love them. The Real Mazing. I don't even pay $30 for an MMO subscription. Yeah, no one does. No one does. Michael E. Thorne. Someone who needs to talk to the writers of Wednesday Netflix series to show the characters playing Pathfinder. That would give Paizo a boost for sure. You know what always bothers me is that Critical Role played Pathfinder and they were Pathfinder fans, and then they switched over to Dungeons and Dragons. Can you imagine? I always think of that alternate universe if they continued playing Pathfinder. Scott Graham, rise up, ye mighty gamers. Look to your hearts, feel the beat of the drum. Look yon, how WoTC have fallen. The time of the orc has come. Yes, it has, and we might have orc news very, very, very soon. I cannot say any more. Hopefully, we will have info for you in a day or two. Michael Schmidt wrote, Adam Bradford from D&D Beyond making Pathfinder Nexus. Yes, Pathfinder Nexus is actually being made by the core people from from D&D Beyond, and Pathfinder Nexus. I actually, people are starting to ask me about it. I haven't really fooled around with Nexus, and I'm not in a position yet to find out more about it, but I will. I'm going to learn more about Nexus, so I'm in a better position to help answer all your questions about it, by the way. So, yeah, actually, there was a sale last year where you could buy every single Dritz book for like nothing. It was like a humble bundle, and I bought it, and it's been great. I mean, I've read those books multiple times. So 11th Hour writes, the problem with WoTC making a cool product is that they would have finished the cool product before scaring half the community away. See, they could have just made things, they could have just left everything alone and just come out with a great product, and they didn't. Instead, they had to strong arm everyone. They gave the OGL 1.0A, from what I know, meetings were on December 21st, and they had like a week or two to sign it over the holiday weekend. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Let's give this contract, which you have to sign, and we'll give you a week or two over the holiday weekend. So good luck telling everyone or finding your lawyers and having them review it. Oh, and on top of that, supposedly that WoTC didn't tell anyone internally. So the suits didn't tell anyone working there, and then they found out there supposedly was the first time that they actually talked about it publicly with their internal staff was, I believe, I had the timing already. I believe it was January 11th. It was either the 10th or 11th. I did mention it. I believe that was the first time they had an internal meeting with the creative staff to finally tell them what was going on. Can you imagine? You're working at WoTC TV, you don't know what's going on. John Harrison wrote, put the table back into tabletop. No fees, no VTTs. I kind of like VTTs. I've been using VTTs for 11 years, so I play with my friends, and it's the only way I can play. Eric Wahlberg, totally get you. Thanks for your response. My point was, it would not be the quality people would expect. Much more appealing to play Baldur's Gate 3 or DDO, for example. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be great, but it's a scripted single-player experience. That is what I think they're going to do. So I believe that they are going to try to come out with scripted group experiences that you can play, again, just like Neverwinter Nights did, that you can play with a Dungeon Master AI or with a physical Dungeon Master. Spirit Bomber says, Fumbus was really fun. More comics soon, please. In charge of that, but Fumbus is the goblin, by the way. Etho said, how often do classes come out for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or can we expect nothing new classes-wise until... No, new classes come out all the time. They usually come out with 2 or so new core classes every year. In fact, they're coming out with a new, I believe, kineticist pretty soon. Here's the thing, with Pathfinder 1st Edition, they had over 100 classes, and it got out of control. So they've been much more careful, and they've been a lot slower in releasing their classes. But if you go to Pathfinder Infinite, anyone can publish on it. Pathfinder Infinite is the equivalent of DM's Guild, and you can find classes there. And you know who's coming out with 2 new classes? I am. And you know who's writing them? Mark Seifter, who wrote a lot of the classes for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the core rules, and has written multiple classes for Pathfinder 1st Edition, and has seen every class. So if anyone knows how to do classes, he does. So if you want to play someone who's an Eldamon trainer, aka Pokemon trainer, or you can become a Eldamon Airbringer. I don't know what we're calling it. I forgot the name. Mark, I'm really tired right now. But anyhow, you can do spirit bending using Eldamon powers. So check that out. And you can get that at battlezoo.com, and check out the Eldamon book, which we're working on right now. And those are going to be 2 new classes. But so the answer to your question is about 1 to 2 new classes come out a year. And the reason is because they came out with over 100 in Pathfinder First, and I think it was way too much, and it diluted the product. So they're being much more careful and making sure they only come out with classes that truly fit the mold and actually give people new things to play. But here's the thing. Pathfinder classes are they're so flexible, and there's so many options that you don't need to have 100 different classes. You can play and have 4 wizards or 4 sorcerers or 4 monks or 4 fighters in your party, and they will all be different. Okay? That is the power of Pathfinder. Pathfinder has so many options when you're making your classes, and they are so different that you will not have the same classes. The good example is in World of Warcraft. You know how when you play different classes, there's different, like, you can play different versions of each class. That's what it's like, is that there's so many different core versions of each class that you can go different ways. And if you don't believe me, go on. There's a lot of build guides, and you can see, if I'm going to make a fighter, you can make the archery fighter, you can make the sword and board fighter, you can make the 2-weapon fighter, there's just like tons of different ways to build fighters, and they're all viable and they all work. It's just however you want to do it. And that's the power of Pathfinder, and that's why they don't need as many classes. Dark Ocelot, let's see. Sheila the Paladin was used in the Alcat Wrath of the Righteous game. Yeah, there's a lot of iconics, and that's the whole thing, by the way. So, Eater of Worlds, Hasbro isn't going broke. All of WoTC, not just D&D, is like 50% of the business. 15, that's not true, actually. And if you want, there's a clip that we have on the Roll for Combat channel, and you can see that goes through how much money they make for them. They kind of hit it, and they were hiding it for years, that WoTC is not just making the money, but all their other products and divisions right now are losing money. So they're kind of holding the whole ship afloat. And they also know that D&D has not been making enough money for them. 11th Hour wrote, Pathfinder 2nd Edition archetypes are one of the coolest things ever. It really gives people nice themes. Totally forgot about archetypes. So archetypes are a way for you to actually also differentiate your character even more. So you can be a fighter, and then there's hundreds of archetypes. And that's really where they've been spending their time, is that they've given out so many new archetypes, and archetypes basically give you sub powers. All I'm saying is that there are so many ways to build out your characters in Pathfinder. You don't need 100 different classes. So, right, someone wrote, Nicholas wrote, there's 22 classes, and each one has 2 to 4 subclasses. Then you get in an archetype so that you can then make your character. There's like a healer archetype and they become really good at healing. There's a beastmaster archetype where you can actually have animal companions and so forth. So you can actually make your characters really specific, by the way. Dinner and a game, or WoTC, is 40% of their entire revenue, and their only real positive rent. Yes, that's what I've been saying, is that WoTC is a massive part of the revenue, and more importantly, it's the only one that's been growing, and it's the only one that's giving them positive revenue. In fact, last year, there was a petition to break off WoTC into its own separate company because they were making so much money that they felt that WoTC should be its own company, and that in fact they're holding up Hasbro and they're using WoTC to sort of fund all their fledgling properties right now. So that is the issue. The problem is you can only milk Magic to a point, and D&D, how much more can you get from D&D? They can come out with new books, sure, and they can come out with, I don't know, supplemental items like minis, or I don't know, like plushies and things like that. But people want product and people want books, and for whatever reason, their books are just not that great. They're a lot of them are okay. And the one thing I noticed when I was doing research for my own adventure path is I watched every video I could find, and people were going around saying, okay, if you're going to run this adventure path, here's what you need to fix. And they would have entire YouTubes going through how to fix WoTC products. Okay. There's thousands of them. If you look around and see, there's very few YouTubes that are going around saying how to fix Pathfinder products. That's all I'm saying. There are a lot of people that will have additions and adjustments to the Pathfinder adventure paths, but adventure paths are a whole separate story. And also adventure paths are much longer than the adventure paths that WoTC puts out. And to be honest, because they are written by 6 different authors and they're supposed to do one complete story, there can be bumps in the road. And I agree to that. That's fine. But usually the things you need to, quote, fix in a Pathfinder adventure path is pretty minor. Nathan Connor, Pathfinder 2nd edition character creator is tight. Made a fighter who can spot heal with battle healing and do massive damage. That is correct. You can build. I've seen it all. We're playing right now. I have 2 core games. I have 2 different monks. I have 2 monks. They're totally different. They're completely different from one another. They don't use the same stances. They don't use the same combat. One is a Jalmalsi Heaven Seeker. The other one is he uses ground fighting, and it's totally different. Let's see, John Harrison. When I last offered to run Pathfinder 2nd edition, Starfinder at my local game store, crickets. Now I have to turn people away. Yep, everyone wants to learn how to play these games. Look, it comes down to the number. The problem is that you need 4 or 5 people to play these games. And if you're at the store and you're saying, hey, everyone, I want to play Pathfinder or Starfinder, and everyone's like, well, we all want to play D&D. Well, then you're going to be stuck doing D&D. But I'm going to tell you something. If you're a DM, or in this case, a GM, because Dungeon Master is protected by Hasbro, if you are a GM, you have the power. And if you say to your friends, you know what? We're playing Pathfinder. Or you know what? We're playing Fate tonight. Or we're playing any other game. Okay. They're probably not going to fight you. And if they do fight you, then you say, well, that's fine, but I'm in charge. I'm the one who does all this work. And if I say we're going to play it, we're going to try it. Like, for example, I play a lot of board games, and I was the one who bought these $100, $200, $300 board games. I'm the one who bought them. No one else bought them. So what I brought, we'd play. When I brought Gloomhaven, we played Gloomhaven. When I brought, I can't even think of anything. If I brought Kingdom Monster Death, they're playing that, okay? No one's buying that game, okay? Kingdom Monster Death was like $700. if I'm bringing that game, you're playing it, okay? Because, okay, you want to play something else, then you buy the damn game and you bring it. So there you go. And so if you're the DM, just tell them that's what we're playing. Simple as that. I'm probably going to go to sleep pretty soon because it's 1:15 in the morning and I have like 4 meetings tomorrow. So, and these are like real meetings from my actual day job. So if anyone else has any quick questions, now's the time because I'm going to try to wrap this up. Again, this was mostly me just saying that these leaks, this is pretty much, yeah, a lot of people are going to sleep. Yeah, sleep. Mark's telling me to sleep. Mark, I got 11 hours of sleep. I'm wide awake, man. I went to sleep last night at midnight and got up at 11 a.m. That is, I'm rested and ready to go because I knew this week was going to be terrible. Well, I can't. Yeah, I can't. I was going to do this tomorrow morning, but I have 4 meetings. I'm busy all day, so I couldn't do this, Mark. So that's why I'm doing it now. The main reason I'm going to get this out is that you're going to be seeing this. These things are these 4 points. $30 a month, Deauthorization, OGL 1.0, homebrew bans at base tiers, stripped down gameplay, and AI DMs. Supposedly they lost 40,000 subs. I heard that number from a couple of people, by the way. So the point is, all this stuff is stuff we've been saying for about 6 months now. None of this is a surprise to me. I literally was talking about this tonight with my game group at 8 p.m. These exact same things. I wish someone was in here. Jason could, anyone who was in the game group, Jason, John, Chris, or Seth, all can confirm this. I said this tonight. If any of them see this, I guarantee I actually was talking to this. I literally was explaining to them how they're going to do AIDMs. All of this is true. All of this is going to be coming out. I'm going to be very busy this week. And, oh yeah, Alex, if you want to make Fantasy Ground modules for me, contact me on the Discord because I've been looking for Fantasy Ground people and authors for quite a while, and I'm having a tough time finding them. So if you can do it, let me know. But over the next 2 days, you're going to be hearing this stuff. And again, this is nothing new. If you've been watching my channel, I've been saying this for a long time. So we're going to keep finding, this is going to keep coming out, okay? For the next couple of weeks, we're just going to hear more and more of their plans and more what they've been playing. They've been going, oh, by the way, I was just in Spain, Paul, Christian. I went to, for my vacation, I went to Madrid and I went to Barcelona, and mwah, it was, best vacation I've had in years and years and years. Oh, I went to Toledo too. Toledo was cool. Toledo looked like a fantasy city. It was everything I would imagine a fantasy city should look like. It was awesome. I loved Spain. And yep, it's early right there. So those of you, by the way, don't forget, if you want to get stuff at Paizo, they have a huge sale right now. You can get stuff 25% off, and they're giving out extra books for free. Now's the time. And if you want to see us play Pathfinder, because people are like, combat's fast. I'm sorry, combat takes forever and it's really, really slow, blah, 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 blah. Then watch us play. There's a video that I just did tonight. It's actually my Agents of Edgewatch game. I didn't have the VTT up and running because I decided to do it and I had like 15 minutes notice, so I just threw it together. But you'll see that we did a level 13 combat and it only took an hour. I think it was an hour and a half, but it was between an hour and a half. But the thing is, we talk a lot because it's a podcast. So if you go fast, you can get combats. And this is a complex combat. A complex combat with a lot of spells, a lot of people, a lot of NPCs, 13th level, and it was done in about an hour and a half. So it was fun. And that is us taking our time and goofing off. So don't believe it when people say combat takes forever in Pathfinder. It does not. Did you see the El Greco stuff in Toledo? I don't know if we did, Mark. I don't know. I don't know what the El Greco stuff was. We had a tour guide and he walked us around, and we walked from one end of the city to the other. We actually walked the whole city, and we mostly looked at the Jewish quarter because it was really cool. And then we looked at the, we went to multiple cathedrals. We went to the main cathedral. It was really nice. John Williams, are the games going to be live from now on, or is it just this once? We're going to try to do them live now, because it looked like, I mean, we only had about 70 people show up, and everyone seemed to be very interested. So I'm going to try to do it on a regular basis. I don't like doing live games because there's a lot of ums and uhs and stuff. But if you watch us, we don't do that. We go pretty damn fast. And we've been playing a long time together. This is my core group, the Agents of Edgewatch, for about 35 years, 40 years. I don't know. I've been playing with these guys for a long time. So we go quick. So that's the thing. I might do this on a regular basis. We're going to try. It's very hard to do it. So that's the other reason I didn't do it, because I have 3 computers to run my games. So it's a lot to do that, because I'm also recording for the podcast. And most of my games only go about 3 to 4 rounds. By the way, the combat, I think, was only 4 rounds. It's just that there was a lot of people, and again, we were kind of goofing off and talking, and I was trying to explain stuff, and we're just being silly. So our combats, but yeah, combat, I think it was 4. It might have been 5 rounds. I think it was 4 or 5, and that's it. And that's as long as it was. And most of the combats in Pathfinder, my guys like very, very, very complex things, so our combats can go longer. Anyhow, looks like questions have ended and people are leaving. So, good night, everyone. I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything tomorrow. We're definitely going to have a show on Wednesday, but I imagine you're going to be hearing, especially from what I hear, the next 2 days. There's a lot of information coming out Wednesday. I think people are putting together more informed. Oh, hey, Matt, thank you for becoming a super fan. I'll always answer your questions first because you're a super fan. And you get access to really, really cool emotes if you ever want to use them. We got emotes of like me and Mark doing silly things. Yeah, supposedly Wednesday, there's a lot coming out on Wednesday. I've been hearing a lot of things from multiple places, so I think Wednesday is going to be a big freaking day. Yikes. Let's see. My GM says he wishes pipe. You know what? I don't think Pathfinder 2nd Edition combat's that slow. It's also fun. So it's simple as that. Oh, real quick. 11th hour. Give my players more gold than the book tells me to. Is there any reason why items seem so expensive compared to the default player income? Mark Seifter, you can answer that. Mark Seifter co-wrote the rules for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, is in the chat. So Mark, you can answer 11th hour probably better than I can because he designed it. And that's one advantage of you're in the chat with us, is that if you ever need questions answered about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you are literally talking to the guy who co-wrote the rules and came up with most of these decisions. I can give you my opinion, but Mark can give you literally the answer, not a answer, the answer, because he wrote it, so he knows. And I'm not going to guess. I believe I know why. He's answered this 1,000 times. Any update on the timeline for Orc? You will find out about that in a few days. I do have the timeline. I do have some info. Can't talk about it, but you will find out shortly. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yes, there is more information coming. I'm actually one of the main partners. I'm in the press release. So yeah, I mean, you'll see. There's stuff coming. So Mark wrote a little bit. Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. Hopefully you guys like and subscribe, and as more info comes out, I'll try to stay on top of it. I do need to actually also get other info. By the way, if you go to the Discord channel, just go to discord.rollforcombat.com, and Mark is always there, and he'll answer any of your questions anytime about this stuff, as will the rest of the community. So if you didn't get your super chats answered, if you have questions about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to go to bed because it's 1:30 in the morning right now. All right, everyone. See ya.